So thank you so much for watching. Hello, this is my end of January update, and I'm really excited to make this because I was like trying to get all the info from 2 weeks ago that I said I was going to post and come back to update. So really happy to be able to do this. So there were 3 things I said I was going to update, and they were a recap of January's budget. So going back and comparing what I actually spent with what I said I was going to spend. And the second thing was my budget for February. And the third thing was my progress in finding additional income. So I'm here with updates on all 3 areas. So first, the budget for January and my recap of what I actually spent versus what I said I was going to spend. And let me just say that this was more difficult and took more time than doing the budget, but actually doing the budget. So because I had to compare, I totaled up all the numbers that I had been keeping track of, and then I plugged them into the categories that I said I was going to, how much I said I was going to spend, and sort of figuring that out took more time than actually saying how much I was going to spend. So just kind of a heads up to anyone else who wants to do that. Totally worth it, like 100%, 150%, because it's really useful. So this was my budget from January, and this was on this side what I said I was going to spend, and on this side was what I actually ended up spending. So not too much of a variance because I've kind of been doing this for a while, so I know how much I'm going to spend, so I know what to put in. I've been doing this for about 2 years, on and off, not really super committed, but every now and then I would do it. So I start with my income, and then I do a zero-based budget and spend it all down the page. And the categories that I ended up overspending in were actually in gifts and utilities. Gifts because I'm in a wedding in March, I'm in a friend's wedding, and we had to do some stuff for the bride's bridal shower, so that cost some additional, had additional outgo, and that I hadn't budgeted in for. I've done that for February. And also the utilities category because I had some expenses that came up that I had to deal with. So those 2 categories were the biggest overspend. And I actually ended up underspending in gas and groceries, which is unusual. Because again, I know kind of what my expenses are, so I know what to budget for. So I was surprised that I underspent, but pleased. And there was a difference of about $200 that's still in my checking account that I didn't end up pulling out in cash because I didn't need it. So that's the January recap. On to the budget for February, which using that information, I kind of tried to fold that in. And for February, I've put more in for gifts because I know we have other wedding activities coming up, so that's going to be exciting. And I've added 2 other categories. I've added a separate category just for gifts, which I hadn't been putting in because I hadn't needed, but I do now. So here's a budget for February. Here's what I'm planning to spend. And I'm also going to, I put little dollar signs by the categories that I'm going to withdraw in cash and then put in the envelopes. And finally I'm getting into the envelope system and having that in cash rather than just keeping a set amount in my wallet. I'm going to try to be a little bit more disciplined and intentional about keeping that aside and having each category have that money in an envelope that I can't touch or that will keep me stuck in the cash. That will keep me more accountable for the numbers, put it that way. But I'm also going to have to take some money out of my prudent reserve or savings in order to meet some other obligations that kind of came up. I had some house-related things that I need to take care of before the spring gets here. So that's my February budget. Looking forward to that. And we'll also hopefully do an update on the cash system to see how that's going. And then finally the additional income. And that is kind of... it's going to take a little bit more time than I thought. It's no excuse to just kind of sit on my butt, because if I want to get this done by the end of the year, I'm going to have to make some additional income or have some type of additional money coming in. And I figured I had 2 options. I could either go with the sort of stopgap, which for me would be doing things like being a receptionist on the weekend, or maybe being a server again, both of which I've done. Both are kind of college jobs, like jobs that I would think of like a high school or college student doing that don't require too much training or skills, but are still viable income options. And the second option I figured would be to do something a little bit more skills-based, which would hopefully be something that I could either do remotely or do from home. And that was something that for me would require a little bit more training and a little bit more research, which I've started to do, working on Elance and kind of trying to get to know that platform and how to interact with that in a way that would be profitable is something that I'm also exploring. So In terms of additional income, in the month of February, am making a point to try to have both. And I've put out some feelers for the first option, sort of lesser skilled options. I've talked to some people and kind of tried to see if there's anything going that I might be able to do. And also I'm just going to try to be more aware of the opportunities that might be available. So that's my January update, as this will be full week 4 for me that I've been on this journey and committed. So really, so far excited. Been really exciting to interact with other channels. And if you're a subscriber, thank you so much. And if you're not, I'd really love for you to be, so you don't miss any updates. And I can also kind of see what you're up to and interact with you. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope this has been helpful.